everybody, it's John D from JDTV. Welcome to our next step in the process here over at Fairview Square Townhomes. You can see behind me the guys are pouring some concrete, but to talk about what's beneath that concrete, when we were here last, they had the foundation walls being poured. We had some in place, some being poured. That's been completed, obviously. And then what we did is we ran our water and gas lines in, we ran conduits for electric, and we have our sewer lines tied in underground, and then we filled everything in with stone. Now, an interesting aspect of that stage of work is because these are a slab home, so meaning there's not an underground basement area below grade. Obviously, I'm standing right where the floor would go, and we're right at grade. But one of the things that you do need to do when you have a slab condition like this is to create a thermal break. So you might think, wow, that concrete floor could be cold in my house. But what we do to avoid that issue, and it's part of the building code that we do have to follow, is we actually put styrofoam insulation down underground along the wall, and then we also lay it on top here. You can kind of see it through the plastic. And what that does is when this concrete is poured, that's a thermal break between the cold or the ground temperature outside, which below grade is always at 50 degrees, but in the winter time, just outside here could be 0 degrees. It protects that cold from traveling through the concrete and getting into the concrete floor that you're gonna stand on every day. So we have that foam in there that gets poured underneath the concrete and provides that thermal break. So you can see here also they have wire lath in to give structural integrity to the concrete, and we also have rebar here pinned in. The reason it's pinned in like this is because we don't have a ledge here to pour the concrete onto like we do around our perimeter. So what they do is they actually pin the rebar in place so that when this slab is poured, it's virtually connected to this wall. Just like the living space area of the slab where I talked about the rebar being drilled in. On the garage side here, you can see we have a rebar pattern in here, again, to support this concrete floor. That way, when this is poured in here, it's like it makes it a structural slab that it's sitting in here. But in the garage, it's not drilled in. It doesn't have to be in areas where there's a ledge below that the concrete would sit on. So in this garage, we have a ledge along the front, and then we have a ledge around the perimeter here. You can kind of see it. So as long as this rebar is extended beyond that ledge, it makes that concrete slab strong, sits on that ledge, and it prevents sagging along with our center pier. More specifically with us running our utilities under the slab, like I said, we would bring in water, electric, gas, sewer, all those things. In particular here at Fairview Square, we have our water supply, so you have your drinking water, but also when you have multiple units connected together, the code calls for fire sprinklers in the home. Certain regulations call that a fire sprinkler should have its own water line in some cases, depending on where it comes in. So here then, we have another water line that feeds just the fire sprinkler system. And then we have this pipe, which would be for radon mitigation. In our homes, we put a passive radon system in that just naturally, by the laws of convection, allow radon to escape from under the slab of your home. So that's what this pipe is. And then here we have a conduit to run the electric service into the house. With finishing the concrete slabs, you can see they're utilizing a powered concrete trowel. So, you know, many years ago, people kind of crawled around on their hands and knees with a 16-inch long trowel to finish large areas. And it could be tough to get a smooth, consistent finish over a large area, and these powered trowels give you that edge on getting into large areas and getting a large area smoothly finished in a consistent fashion with less dips and bumps in there. It also helps them do more concrete in a shorter amount of time because they can get that surface finished before the concrete dries ahead of them in the sun and wind like we have today. So once we are finished with the pouring of the concrete and we get all these slabs in place, we will begin the framing process. We intend to be here for you guys to see what steps are involved with that. So it's really coming along here, as you can see, and we're excited to start to grow the vertical construction here and see what it looks like. We look forward to seeing you guys next time, and thanks for following along. Have a great day.